All right, to be able to design the sandbox, let me first introduce to you what is available out there, some benchmark that we can learn from. So, in a private equity structure, these private equity firms are set up to actually manage funds from investors. So, in a normal private equity structure, there are limited partners and there is a general partner. So, the demarcation of the limited partners and the general partners are done very clearly so that there's transparency, there's proper governance in place. So, limited partners is someone who commits capital to the venture fund. LPs are mostly institutional investors, such as pension funds in Malaysia, it could be KWSP, insurance companies, endowments, foundations, family offices of high net worth individuals. These are investors that are represented by limited partners. So in this context, we can have the university set out a budget, let's say 5 to 10 million, and to be treated like a limited partner per se. So the university plays this role as a limited partner. Then we have the venture fund, which is the 5 to 10 million that we have budgeted just now. We can call it the University Commercialization Fund 1, for example. So it's structured as a limited partnership governed by partnership agreement governance. Normally, you give it a 7 to 10 years old, 10 years tenure of this fund. So the university carves out 5 to 10 million ringgit and says that 10 million ringgit, for example, is to be invested and to have a targeted returns over the next 10 years. So it pays out profit of sharing through carried interest about 20% of the fund's returns, for example. And you have the management company, is the business of the fund. So the management company receives the management fee from the fund, about 2%, and uses it to pay overhead related to the operating the venture firm, such as rent, salaries, employees, etc. It makes carried interest only after the limited partners have been repaid. So essentially, the management company can even be the university company, which is actually owned by the university holding company. All right. But what's more important, I will explain to you later. All right. That the general partner in this case is the venture capital partner of the management company, GP raise and manage the venture funds, set to make investment decisions and help their portfolio companies exit because they have a fiduciary responsibility to their limited partners. The most important thing here is the GP should be managed by investments professionals. So essentially, you will need to hire someone from the venture capital industry to run the show here. And not academicians, not someone from the university, but someone from the industry who is qualified investment professional. Then you have portfolio companies. Startups receive financing from the venture fund in exchange for shares and preferred equity. The fund can only realize gains if there's liquidity events such as mergers and acquisitions or IPOs, and these shares can be converted to shares, or these shares can be converted to cash. So upon exit, only that the fund after can realize the profits. Okay, so this is a typical PE or venture capital structure that is out there in the market. So what we need to do is improvise from this. So here is a suggestion that we can do in this context. So the university can come up with a university equity fund in terms of its fund, which is actually on a limited partner role. So what it can do is it can set aside a budget of 5 to 10 million, for example, which is a budget for investment, and as well as park certain amount worth of intellectual property as its injection into in consideration for investment in the spin-off companies. So the university holdings has to set up a separate investco which is a general partner. And this investco could be managed by a venture capitalist. You can have an ideal scenario where The Investco can be even an external company that you hire, and managed by a venture capital with its set returns and things like that. But this investment company would have to have another entity which is not in the private equity structure, which is the management company or venture development company. Reason being is, a university spin-off has one thing that is lacking in terms of the venture capitalist perspective. So I've asked personally a lot of venture capital CEOs out there, the Malaysian venture capital CEO, Southeast Asia, that carry up, and there's not many around here, but most of them say that they would not invest in a university spin-off companies. Reason being is because there is no promoter, there is no hustler, because the researchers are the technical expertise, but they're not the one that's making the sale or committed to drive the company. So they don't find a promoter in the spin-off companies. So this is an actual gap that needs to be solved if you want venture capital funding. Hence, you need this venture development company, which could be operated like people like an accelerator company who has experience doing venture development, so that can help build the spin-off companies, the resources in the spin-off companies, and build a product market fit approach so that it attracts these venture capital firms. So essentially, this is a new proposed structure which I am promoting for adoption. So what I will do is, even if you can have 10 universities sharing a fund of, let's say, 30 to 40 million, where you can have a substantial amount, at least 50 million, to be managed by an Investco or several invest companies, which can be matched with private funds as well. You can have many variations of this structure. So this is the sandbox approach, as well as a new proposed approach that can be done. And this will substantially bridge the gaps, and it will actually create a better ecosystem in the market. So with that, we wrap up this session with two videos that I will share with you. One is Crossing the Chasm, which is by Jeffrey Moore, for you to appreciate the technology adoption life cycle and what it takes to bring innovation out to mainstream customers. And another video is on a minimum viable product that has been spoken earlier. This is an introduction. So what I've shared to you is both these are from the books that has been written. You can find it on Amazon. And I suggest that you read this, as well as the minimum viable product, which is MVP, can be found on Amazon as well. So with that, thank you very much.